What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? Hopefully everyone's having a great day. Here's the game plan. I recorded a long interview with Josh Pate. He's got a big YouTube college football show. Guy's a stud. We had him on last year. I'm a big fan of his stuff. He will be on. We'll put it up on the channel a little bit later today. Dove into all things college football. He's tight with coaches, GMs. Like he knows his stuff. Big fan. Fellow bald guy. And I thought, well, I went on with Colin yesterday. We talked about a bunch of stuff. I have some takes and thoughts that I haven't been able to get off yet in regards to Matt Stafford. There was some news today. Does not look good. Something happened with the Colts. Me and Colin didn't touch on. You know, it's like, what else I'm going to say about Shedeur? But there was a depth chart that Schefter just put out before I'm recording this in the afternoon about nothing's really changed. So I thought I'd dive in there just about how coaches got to be very careful in these situations. And then Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, I mean, why they're not a sleeper. So a little shorter, this version, just kind of do rapid fire, some quarterback stuff. And we'll get back on the horse tomorrow, do some mailbag, and just dive in around the league, other topics. I didn't touch on, I haven't really had a chance. I've been pretty busy today to dive into Sandoz on The Athletic, the quarterback tiers. I mean, I looked at the list. I read a couple tidbits here and there, but I'll have some thoughts in the next couple days. I'm sure you've heard people talk about that. I just haven't really had a chance to read it. The coaches' quotes in that article and some GMs are just the best. I saw one on Stafford that just made me smile from a defensive coordinator. Not even because I agree with it, but just I love the just how authentic these guys are where they don't have to put their name on it, which the reason they talk is they don't have to put their name on it. This article wouldn't exist if they did. So I'm pro not putting your name on it if I get really, really good quotes. But football season's here. We got teams playing. We got injuries happening. We got joint practices happening. So buckle up. But before we dive into some football, you know I got to tell you about my friends, my partners in the official ticketing app of this podcast, GameTime. Do you want to go to an event? Absolutely anything. What do you want to do? You want to go have a good time? You want to go to a concert? You want to go to a comedy show? Do you want to go enjoy yourself? We got you covered. Here's the thing, GameTime. Best ticketing app in America. Been using them for a long time. You can go, football is right around the corner. So if you want to go to one of these football games, if you want to go have a good time at a concert, do it on us. Save a little money while you're at it. Anywhere around the country, you can search by the venue, you can search by the artist, you can search by the team. It does not get any easier. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code John for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code John, that's JOHN, for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Let's start with the Cleveland Browns because I just have a big picture philosophy on life, and we all can get into a routine and have strong beliefs on certain things. I do think you have to be very careful in business, with your family, with your wife, about being very, very rigid. And I think rigid people really struggle in fluid situations when it's like sometimes you have to, I don't even want to say color outside the box, but be open-minded to certain situations. And coaches can be like this to a degree that just makes fans, front office personnel, and definitely ownership go, what is going on? And I've always said this about coaches. And Kevin Stefanski is an Ivy League guy. He is really, really smart. And he's proven to be a good coach, right? He's won games with Joe Flacco. He won games with Baker Mayfield. He won in Cleveland where a lot of guys lose. And whenever he gets fired, which, probably not going to be there too long, the next guy will probably lose because that's kind of what happens in Cleveland. So I do not think Stefanski is some scrub. But I think coaches sometimes can get so consumed with the rigidity of you got to know my playbook inside and out, and if you don't, I'm not even giving you a chance. And I know the playbook. I need you to know it like me, which is great. There are a lot of quarterbacks all throughout the NFL that know their team's playbook really, really well and are geniuses, and their skill set fits that offense. Yet when they get out to the field, stink. Cannot get a first down. Could not lead a touchdown drive. I mean, they're god awful. The fans can see it, the front office can see it, the owner, but the coach's like, I love this guy. I was just watching the SEC show, and Billy Napier, who's the head coach at Florida, was like obsessed with Graham Mertz, who seems like a great guy. Seems like a high character, super smart, good dude. We want to be friends with him. But it was like, you probably should play DJ Lagway. Like, well, he doesn't know all the plays. No one cares. Have the 10 plays that he knows, run those, because this other guy, you got no chance to win with this guy. And NFL coaches can be like that. And listen, you need human beings to believe in you. We talked about this last week when Shedeur's opportunity came, right? You never complain or worry sometimes how the opportunity presents itself. Once it's there, it's on you to take advantage of. Whether that's someone listening that has an interview coming up that their uncle set up, whether it's the guy they're working with got sick and now you're in charge of the meetings, whether you're a quarterback and everyone on the team pulled their hamstring and now you're starting. Who gives a shit? It's your shot. Obviously, LeBron James is a famous basketball player, and that's the reason his son got drafted and got a 4-year contract. Well, Bronny gets to play in games now. So if he wants to and he's good enough, he can take advantage of that situation. Happens all the time in all different industries. So how you get there, who cares? It's clear that the front office and the coaching staff were not big on Shedeur Sanders. Because if they were, they would have drafted him in the 3rd round. Instead, they took another quarterback. Which, listen, personnel and scouting and determining who's going to be good on your team, especially past the top elite players, is a very subjective business. There is no exact science to this thing. I told this to Colin yesterday. There are guys all over the league. Shedeur just happens to be by far the most famous 3rd-day pick. But he is not alone. There are 4th rounders, 5th rounders, 6th rounders, 7th rounders all over the league that were underdrafted, who aren't just going to beat out 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks on their own team over the course of the next year, are going to run circles around those guys, are going to get second contracts, and are going to be Pro Bowl players. Every single draft produces these individuals. And the one headline I did see today when it came to Sando's article on the quarterback tiers was a head coach in the NFL said, the draft is over in relation to the polarization of Brock Purdy. Who gives a shit 4 or 5 years ago he was drafted in the 7th round? We're in 2025, and he has several years of data of playing. So I'm guilty of this too. We hold on to like, hey, this guy was a 5th round pick. After a while, it does not matter. And one thing's clear with Shedeur. He's an instinctive, natural thrower of the ball in terms of layering the ball, having touch on the ball. He made a couple throws in that game that were awesome. Whether it's a preseason game, who he's going against, he brings something to the table. But Stefanski's got to be very careful because the fans do not care if you're like, well, we like Dillon Gabriel more. We think Kenny Pickett really knows the offense. That's fine. But you throw Kenny Pickett out there, throughout his career when he's been thrown out there, he has not looked good. So you throw him out there, let's just say this upcoming preseason game, and he looks awful, no one's going to want to see him again. Not a soul. It's why if I was them, I would start, if you want to start Dillon Gabriel, which is your prerogative, you drafted him over Shedeur, because the one elephant in the room with this situation, the team is not going to be good. So when your team is not really good, it's hard to justify. It's like, well, let's just see what this guy can do, right? It's easy to do when your team's good, be like, not play the young guy. Andy Reid did it once upon a time with Patrick Mahomes. Now, he was a high draft pick. Shedeur is not. But let's be real, like not all situations are the same, and this is kind of an outlier situation. This guy is already feels like one of the more famous players in the league, so everyone was watching it. You got Jamie Foxx, you got LeBron, you got all these people tweeting and posting on Instagram and supporting this guy, and then he comes through and makes a bunch of plays, and now it's like, well, we're going to kick him. That's not the way it works, because in other positions, when you start making plays, you move your way up. But coaches with quarterbacks, they already have in their mind what they want, and clearly the coaching staff and the GM didn't want this guy, because if they did, they would have taken him in the 3rd round when they took Dillon Gabriel. So I'm cool with that if you want to start Dillon Gabriel this week. But you can't convince the fans. You're not going to be able to convince the owner if Dillon Gabriel looks terrible and Shedeur comes. We saw Shedeur play in preseason game. Looked pretty good. And if Shedeur plays in the preseason game, once you yank Dillon Gabriel and he looks better than him, you can't be like, well, no one cares. And this is what I think coaches struggle with. And I understand Bill Polian once had a saying, listen to the fans, you'll be sitting with them. And there's probably some truth to that in certain situations, but there are some things that are just obvious. And in this situation, if I'm a Browns fan, I don't want to watch Kenny Pickett ever take a snap. I have seen him play for years on other teams. He's not good. Listen, I would be dubious of Dillon Gabriel, but you drafted him. I'll give him a benefit of the doubt. I'm an open-minded fan. It's like, okay, put him out there. But if he ain't good in a fucking preseason game, I don't care. I don't want to see him in terms of like he's ahead of Shedeur. And that's where I think Kevin Stefanski's got to be very, very careful in terms of like thinking, well, I know more than you guys. When these games happen, everyone's watching. And now in your situation, more people are watching than ever. You're getting a little bit with Shedeur Sanders of like the cowboy treatment. Where it's not one of those, well, you guys don't really know what you're talking about. You don't know the plays. I know the play when the ball is snapped and he makes a move and he fucking layers the ball over a linebacker, a safety, and a trailing corner and hits a guy in stride. My mom can see that. And you watch enough preseason games where other random guys come in, all these situations are chaotic and they look like crap. We saw backup quarterbacks all over the NFL not be able to function. And we've seen it for years in the preseason. No one with the brain is acting like this guy's perfect. Or he's going to be some star in the NFL. I think any level-headed person just goes, maybe you should just give him some more time. And again, if he's bad, then it's easier for you to pivot. But it's hard when you're like, yeah, we're just going to put him back in the line again. And I can already see this coming. This thing could get away from Kevin Stefanski. These guys, these two Ivy League elites, are used to like kind of getting like flying under the radar in some of this stuff. I mean, we've talked about this before. They've drafted multiple guys that haven't made it to week one without having a domestic violence arrest. Now, I wasn't there. He said, she said stuff, but like not happening for every team. They've been a part of this Deshaun Watson thing that because it's the Browns, it was so ugly. People just like, I don't even want to talk about this anymore. And again, that might be more on Haslam, but like these other situations in different markets, I don't think you could just shake them like this. You're not going to be able to shake this. This is not going away. And he throws some more touchdowns and other guys struggle. Like you can't be like, well, let's just see Joe Flacco. You can do that week one because it's like, hey, we owe this to Myles Garrett to play a veteran guy who knows what he's doing. But after a couple weeks, no one's going to want to watch him take a snap. I think this could really get away from the Browns if they don't handle this in a way that they have just struggled to handle quarterback situations in recent past. They did a poor job clearly with Baker Mayfield. That situation got away from him. The Deshaun Watson thing is one of the biggest embarrassments in the history of the NFL. And this Shedeur thing already feels a little clanky. You don't need to sink a 30-foot putt to score big this weekend. Just fire up the DraftKings Sportsbook app and take your shot at the green. The kind with dollar signs. Whether you're a diehard golf fan like myself or just in it for the Sunday drama, DraftKings has everything you need to make the round a little more exciting. Live bets, prop plays, and odds boosts. Here's the thing. Are you new to betting on golf? You can bet on the winner. You can bet on a guy to top 5. You can bet on a guy to top 10. My bet last week, I'm going to roll over again. I got Scotty to win, and I parlayed that with Tommy Fleetwood and Ben Griffin, 2 top 10. I think if you want to have a little action on Scotty, he was one missed putt away from being in the playoffs. We know Fleetwood's not going to win, but he's going to be in the mix. Ben Griffin is hot right now. One other guy, Cam Young. So between Cam Young, Tommy Fleetwood, and Ben Griffin, I like those guys to top 10, and I think Scotty Scheffler gets it done. So any sort of combination with those guys this week, I'm fired up on. Take your swing at winning some dough this week. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Speaking of just weird situations, I think the Rams have a serious problem on their hands. I think there are some parallels with Matt Stafford to Christian McCaffrey last year, where it's like, what's his injury? What's going on? Why can't he practice? And then he finally comes back to practice. And then leading up to week one, after practicing for the week, Friday felt weird, and then he wasn't able to go Sunday. And then his season was basically didn't happen until he came back and then he got injured and it was just over before you even knew it. Matt Stafford was supposed to practice today. It's what Sean McVay said the other day. He threw 60 passes on Saturday to kind of warm up for today, to be the full-time starter, the Rams guy, the person Mike Sando, based on coaches and GMs, has as the fifth overall quarterback in the NFL. But he couldn't practice today because his back hurt. And you see guys all around the league that tear a meniscus. I think that happened to Landon Dickerson. The 49ers had a guy with a high ankle sprain today. There are some timetables where it's like, hey, this is a 4-week injury, 6 weeks, worst case scenario. They're very black and white, most injuries, right? ACL out for the season. Broken hand, however many weeks. It's very, like you have a very good idea, start to finish, what you're dealing with. Maybe a week or two here, things can change, but like you're not going in blind. The worst thing with the back is no one has any clue. And even when you think you've passed the litmus test or the line of everything's going to be all right, you wake up the next day and it hurts. I mean, I'll never forget when I lived in the Bay Area and Steve Kerr became such a national story because of the Warriors. He couldn't coach because his back hurt. Tiger Woods is my favorite athlete, dealt with back issues forever. You just don't know. Some days it's fine. Hell, if you told me Matt Stafford had a month this year where he was awesome and just felt great, I'd believe you. If you told me that he's able to play week one and then the next day, it's like stories have come out, Matt Stafford couldn't even get out of bed and he is for sure out the next week. Like that's possible. They are staring down a season that could get away from them very fast because I like Sean McVay as much as the next guy. He is an elite coach. They clearly do a really good job of team building and transition from the Jalen Ramsey kind of Aaron Donald era to kind of the young group in which they have now. It's been very, very impressive. But they've won 10 games the last couple of years, and sometimes they're talked about like they're the Chiefs or the Eagles, right? They haven't been winning 13 games. If Matt Stafford is compromised, as he clearly currently is, with an injury that doesn't just magically go away, I think we have to be real, even with Jimmy Garoppolo. Their playoff chances would be in major fucking trouble, which big picture, if they had kind of a weird, disastrous season, wouldn't be the worst thing given that they got multiple picks and they clearly would need a quarterback. Matt Stafford's on a 1-year deal. He's old and it would be over. But this year could be weird, especially in a division that's kind of hard. So I think the Rams and Sean McVay, he can put on a brave face and they're saying all the right things. They know everyone in the media, but they got to be losing some sleep right now. I think we also have to acknowledge the Colts are screwed because Anthony Richardson, I think we're all on the same page, is not good. I don't pretend to be some schematic genius. You know, if anytime that I have a question, I will either text a coaching buddy, a player like Jeff Schwartz, someone like that, if there's a specific question. And you guys know on this show, we don't get that into the weeds. Mainly because I don't pretend to know, like, you know, I'm Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay or Andy Reid on a whiteboard. One, I don't really even care. And if I have a question, I can ask and get the answer. But every single former player, the majority of them offensive linemen or quarterbacks, absolutely destroyed Anthony Richardson for the other day when he got lit up in the Ravens game, which knocked him out of the game because his pinky finger was facing the wrong way. And it was a blitz that he didn't see coming on basically a protection that the guy was not going to be blocked. That every single person that played in the NFL called that day one stuff. Guess what? Anthony Richardson is not a day one player. This is year 3. He already had serious issues in terms of injuries constantly, inaccuracies. I mean, he's one of the more inaccurate quarterbacks that I can remember in the NFL. And let's face it, he was one of the biggest projects over the last 10, 15 years. I mean, anyone with his resume drafted in the top 5, pretty unheard of. It's not going to work. Like, it's kind of over. And it almost felt over before it even started. Now, the Colts have a good team. Like, beside the quarterback, if you told me, just give me a good quarterback. If you told me like Dak Prescott or Brock Purdy was their quarterback with Shane Steichen, I'm like, this team can win 10 games easy. You know, but Daniel Jones, who I made a prediction, I'm like, if things go right, they could be good. But I don't think Daniel Jones is any good. I watched Riley Leonard run around the preseason game. He looks terrible. We know Anthony Richardson can't even read a fucking defense. So let's face it, the Colts are screwed. I said it last week that there is not a bigger lock in the NFL than the Houston Texans winning that division. It's like, what about the Jags? Travis Hunter. Like, well, yeah, they drafted a wide receiver. Okay, they got two good wide receivers. See Travis Hunter try to make an open field tackle? This isn't the Big 12, brother. This is the NFL. And I don't think playing both ways is possible. And they traded an enormous haul to get him. And I'm pro Travis Hunter. I like Travis Hunter. But it's not like they're getting, Malik Neighbors and Deion Sanders on their team with him. He's going to be, he'd be their number 2 wide receiver behind Brian Thomas Jr., which is a good thing. I mean, that's a pretty talented offensive unit, but that's a franchise that doesn't win. But I'm just out on the Colts. And I think big picture, everyone likes this guy in the NFL. People I know that have worked with him think highly of him. I think he's done a good job drafting non-quarterback positions and putting together a roster. But I think they're staring down a pretty big disastrous season. And anytime you have a bust at quarterback and don't have a fix, the boat usually sinks. Like, we have seen some busts and disasters at quarterback. Brock Purdy saved Kyle Shanahan, right? Jalen Hurts saved everyone in Philadelphia for Carson Wentz. I don't see their savior. Like, what are they going to do? And how many times can you just make an excuse, miss the playoffs, and keep your job? Especially like Jim Irsay's passed away now. His daughters, which are a wild card. We don't know exactly how they're going to operate. But I think we all would have to admit it has major, major problems written all over it. You showed up for a quick 9 that turned into 18. The vibes were too good, so now you're chasing 36. Blame the pure drives, birdie putts, and the Transfusion 5-hour energy shots. Inspired by golf's unofficial cocktail, known as the Transfusion, this product brings the iconic hole-in-one combination of grape, lime, and ginger flavors to a non-alcoholic Transfusion 5-hour energy shot. Made with the classic 5-hour energy zero blend of B vitamins, nutrients, and caffeine. It'll keep you clutch on the course and bring the party to the clubhouse afterwards. Perfectly sized for any golf bag. Don't hit the links without one. What are you waiting for? Amp up your next round and bomb more drives with a Transfusion 5-hour energy shot. Available now. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. The other thing is, I'm not comparing Kyler to Anthony Richardson. Kyler is a legitimate NFL player and has had some awesome moments. And if you watch him on the right week, Kyler can go toe-to-toe with any quarterback in the NFL on a specific weekend. He can make plays with his legs, with his arms, throw bombs. His highlight package throughout his career is awesome. He's a special talent. He's also 5'9" and can't see. And a lot of people, like an NFL hipster pick is like, oh, I like the Cardinals to win the division and make the playoffs. You do? Have you Googled the history of the franchise, how often they make the playoffs? Have you Googled the history of Kyler Murray as the starting quarterback, which basically every year except one, the team has finished no higher than third, the majority last place. So this is a team that doesn't win very often. And listen, I like their roster. And a lot like the Colts, if you told me like Josh Allen was the quarterback of the Cardinals, I'd be like, I think they could make the NFC Championship. But he had a throw in the game against the Chiefs that was just like, what is going on? And that's the problem with Kyler. He can make like, you could just turn on a game like week 4. 3 straight drives. Like, God, the Cardinals look really good. 2 field goals and a touchdown, and they're just rolling. And then all of a sudden, he can have like the worst play of the day. And that's the issue with him. And I think it all stems back to no one's ever questioned his arm strength. No one's ever questioned his athleticism. Like those things are high end, just as a physical, being relative or separate from his height, pretty special talent. But when you're 5'9", you can't see anything. And I think, sometimes you say like a guy can't see the field. To me, there's like Anthony Richardson. I think he has no clue what he's looking at. I think at this point, Kyler's got a pretty good idea. He just legitimately can't see. And then sometimes when he can, he's on the move. I just think he makes some poor decisions. So this pick of a lot of people, they're sexy. Like, I can see the Cardinals making, I cannot. Like, I 100% cannot. And I think there's a reason on a yearly basis, even when they've had some talent, like They're just an inconsistent operation, and it just gets back to him. Now, unlike Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, like I couldn't even imagine having to stomach as a fan watching guys like that. That would suck. Like that would be miserable. That would be torture. Might as well waterboard me. It's like, this is what I got to watch. Kyler, like I do understand like getting excited for him as a fan. Hell, I get excited sometimes to watch him. I remember a couple years ago when he came back from the ACL, he had a, he had a game against the Eagles when they were kind of spiraling. It was like one of the most fun halves over the last couple years. He's a very fun player. I'm just not sure he's a winning player when it comes to winning the division. So you can pick Cardinals all you want. Your boy, I'm out.